Viva Las Vegas. As a younger man, I would visit Vegas as often as possible, especially on bachelor parties where obviously you would have a very good time as a young man. However, these days I am a little bit older. I have 3 kids and I'm married, so Las Vegas isn't a place that I visit very often these days. However, today we're taking a look at a little bit of Las Vegas for your wrist. It is a hometown edition from Carl F. Bucherer. This is their Heritage BICOMPAX Chronograph, and it is inspired by Las Vegas. They did this for a few different cities. These are limited editions, and I have the Las Vegas version hands-on to show you guys. So let's take a look at a watch inspired by Las Vegas, the BICOMPAX Heritage Hometown Edition from Carl F. Bucherer. And let's see if what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unless you buy this watch in Vegas, then you probably don't want to leave it in Vegas. So I just wanted to say that phrase for whatever reason. Anyway, let's take a look at the watch. I've always admired Carl F. Bucherer watches. For one reason or another, I've always found them attractive. One of the first watches that I've ever seen from them was the Travel Tech. That was the first one I've ever seen in person. And that is a little window on the side of the watch that you could see the movement. The Travel Tech, basically a GMT watch that was a multi-function GMT on the larger side. I think it was around a 47 millimeter watch, but it was really different, really cool. Something that you did not see from any other brands. This is one of their chronographs, and it's something that you don't see very often. This has a big date and a month. So this is an annual calendar chronograph. It's from their Heritage line. This is a limited edition of only 88 pieces. It's a series of hometown chronographs, BICOMPAX chronographs that are inspired by their Heritage BICOMPAX chronograph that came out in, I believe, 2018. However, that watch, the original watch from 2018, was inspired by a watch that came out in 1950. It's a Heritage model from the brand. That's what inspired that watch. That watch inspired this watch. And this is a limited edition Las Vegas. So you're getting a gold, yellow Fume dial, black subdials. This is a very cool watch. And then the 12 and the 6 are in black. And those are actually filled with black Lume. The hands on here look like little Art Deco buildings. Little needles on the top of those buildings, like Empire State Buildings. Those are also filled with black Lume. So very interesting combination of what they've done here. You have tachometer on the outer portion of the dial, then there's a minute track, and then the Fume starts from there. So the outer portion is black, but as you get towards the center, it gets more golden yellow, and you have that big date, the hand stack, you have a white second hand for the chronograph. All the other indices are printed on in white. Those are not lumed. And then you have a little bit of a window right here that looks like a date window. On a normal watch, that would usually be maybe where the date window is. However, that actually says April. That's the month. This is an annual calendar chronograph with a big date and the month. So lots going on the dial, so it is somewhat of a busy dial. You have to like that. And then the Carl F. Bucherer logo is at the bottom of the dial. You also, when you get close up to this dial, and I'll do close up so you can see what I'm talking about, the dial has a sunburst effect to it. So that is radiating from the center of the dial, same like that Fume pattern. So everything is radiating out from the dial. It's a good looking watch, very vintage inspired, but at the same time, obviously a very modern watch. You have brushing on the side, that goes for both sides of the watch, and then you have a nice line of polish on the top and the bottom. You have a screwed in case back. The crown is not screwed in. You get 30 meters of water resistance. It is signed, the crown, and you do get a 7.3 or 7.2 millimeter crown. At least that's what I measured. So a very large crown. That's very nice and grippy. This does hand wind. I believe this is an ETA-based chronograph with obviously their own module on top. A lot of work goes into movements like this. This has a custom rotor, and you have a display case back, which is sapphire. However, you also have an etching in the back of this watch that is the Vegas skyline. It has Paris, Paris, and a few other hotels that are etched into the case back, so it looks really good. I'll do a close-up so you can see what I'm talking about. So even though they did that and it covers up some of the movement, they still decorated the movement to the 9. So you're going to see this is a very decorated movement. The strap on here is perforated. However, it is not fully perforated through. You have a yellow backing to it that matches the sides of the strap and the stitching. And then you have a beautiful buckle. Their buckle is really beautiful. It is signed with the Carl F. Bucherer logo or CFB logo, whatever you want to call it. And there is a line of polish that goes around that. And it is brushed, of course, so it looks really nice. The case measures in at around 41 millimeters on my calipers, and then you have almost a 14 millimeter thickness, so it is on the thicker side, but that is including the boxed sapphire crystal that you can see. You have a very high box, sort of a vintage looking sapphire crystal, and then of course you have a sapphire crystal on the back as well, so that is the reason why. And then you have about a 49 millimeter lug to lug. On my wrist today, I have the Carl F. Bucherer peripheral rotor Monero. This is a beautiful thin dress watch that is automatic, has that peripheral rotor. I'll do a close-up so you could see the movement on this watch because it is phenomenal. You have a black dial with those rose gold tone hands and indices. It stands out really well on that black background. I love a small seconds as well. Just a good looking 40 millimeter, around 40 millimeter dress watch. I know this is called the Hometown Las Vegas edition. It's a limited edition of 88 pieces, so not a lot of these out there. If you want one, I'll put a link down in the description below. It'll let you know where you can actually get one. But I do get racing vibes from this watch because of the strap and the dial also. It gives me a little bit of like a car racing look, like a 1970s muscle car or something like that. You have this beautiful fume pattern on the dial. The colors that they chose for the dial for this specific version I think is great. The New York actually is sold out. I wanted the New York originally. This was my second choice. I think this is pretty good looking. The New York would have been appropriate because I do live in New York, but this definitely is good looking. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This is around a 41 millimeter watch, or at least on my calibers, it measures in at 41 millimeters. You have about a 49 millimeter lug to lug, which is perfectly fine on my 7.5 inch wrist. And then just about 14 millimeters thick, but you can see it does sit on my wrist pretty well, and it doesn't look very thick. It doesn't stick very high up. I think it looks fantastic. It's just a good looking watch. Price on this watch is coming in at $8,100. It is a limited edition of only 88, and obviously you're getting a lot of complication for that money. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Very quickly, I will do a lume shot. Normally I wouldn't. This does get black lume, so in keeping with the theme of the dial, they went with black lume. So I'm not sure it's going to be very bright, but there is black lume on those really beautiful hands and on that 12 and 6. Let's take a look. Well, I stand corrected. There is lume on the dial besides the 12 and the 6. There are little dots of black lume on that minute track. Of course, you do have lume on the hands as well. There is no lume on the second hand or the chronograph hand, so obviously you can't see that it's working in the dark, but I'm impressed that there is lume on here. It's not gonna last very long because it is black lume. Black lume is not really good at lasting very long, but the fact that this has lume is good because this technically isn't a sports watch. It's more of a dressy chronograph. It's a little bit sporty, but tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of this? What do you think of Carl F. Bucherer? What do you think of the Heritage Annual Calendar Hometown editions? Have you checked them out on their website? I will put a link to their website down below so you can check them out and tell me which one you like best down in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.